Hey guys. Okay, so I got this fancy microphone my husband told me to use. He said to try to keep it right in my face, but I feel like I got some crazy hair going on today. How are you guys? Doing good? See people joining now. I see my microphone looks like it's going out, so that's all good. My husband is actually in the auditorium he's going to be on Framing the World live in a few minutes. So we both came here, but I got the monopoly of having the office. So he's out in the auditorium on the computer. Hey, Angeli, Nicole, Miss Lady Winner, John 316, Kelly, Chanello, Jessica, Karen, 6 million. Because I have these like little baby hairs. They're just sticking out tonight. Every time I have a baby, I go bald right here. And this is like all new growth. And now I'm going to lose it again soon after this baby's born. So one tip that helped my hair grow faster this time was using rosemary essential oil. And I would spray that on my hair every time I shampooed. And that made these tiny hairs grow really fast. But now they're at the length where they're just like sticking out and nothing will keep them down. So, hey, Sarah, Kelly, and Amanda. Good to have you guys. All right, so go ahead. I am up to almost 90 people now on my Slick text. So send Gently Led to 31996 if you want to get a text notifying you that I'm live. Go ahead and do that. So I'm almost up to 90 on that, which is pretty cool. Like, subscribe. In 2 weeks, I believe June 15th, I will be having a special episode with a few guests on. I already have 2 guests lined up. I have my friend Amanda lined up, and I have my friend Heather Major lined up. We're going to talk about Corona. I wanted to get different women from different states, different countries to try and talk about what they're going through. So if any of my listeners, I know Angeli, you're from England, I would love to have you on talking about, I don't know if it's too late. I know it's really late there, your time, but I would love to have you on talking about your different experiences through the coronavirus. If you live in a different country, you don't have to be a pastor's wife. You just have to be my friend. And I would love to just see what your stories are from different, because it's varied from different state to different state. I know Arizona had it a lot easier than Illinois. Canada has probably had it worse than the US. So I would love to hear even overseas. If you live in England or Ireland, I wish I could get my friend Fiona on here to talk about her experience in Ireland. I know it's completely been locked down and no one cares. There's been no protests. No one cares. They just go along. Life is normal. So I would love to have different women on from around the world talking about their experiences with the coronavirus. So hopefully that'll happen in 2 weeks. So yeah, Angeli, I would love to have you on if it's not too late. I know it's like, what are you, 6 hours ahead, 7 hours ahead? So it's 1 or 2 in the morning there, isn't it? Which is crazy. You're up really late watching this. So anyways, let's get into the show tonight. I wanted to talk about, giving and receiving correction and edification in our lives tonight. And I really believe that because of social media, this is kind of an art that's become lost. And it's a skill that we used to have in the past. People used to know how to deal with conflict pretty good in the past. But now with all the social media stuff, it's really becoming an art that is lost. And, this is not all to do with social media, because I'm going to be talking about just dealing with conflict in life in general, even in your church and your family. And I am speaking from a lot of experience. I've been in the ministry almost 20 years. So ministry is people. And so I've dealt with people a lot. When I first was thrown into this, I had quite a few learning experiences. And I learned quite a bit when I was at my father-in-law's church, when my husband was the assistant pastor there. I learned a lot of hard lessons. I learned about, how to stand your ground because when you're in the ministry, honestly, especially being assistant pastor's wife, There's a lot of situations that can happen where people just really like to lash out at you. So you kind of have to learn how to stand your ground while being gracious and not losing it. I've had quite a few people lose it on me. Sometimes Christians can act pretty bad and they can act a lot worse than some of the worldly people that I've actually ran into, which is crazy. I don't really understand that, but it happens. So I'm hoping that I can touch on some of the stuff that will help you, just stuff I've learned from experience. So, but let's go over, some of the guidelines when it comes to dealing with conflict. One of my number one tips, I would say, when you're dealing with conflict in your life is I would definitely try to privately resolve things if possible. It's really hard when you are in a public forum or even publicly in church. Let's say you're having a problem with someone in church and there's lots of people around and there's a potential for a blow up or something to happen. It's much better if you take that person aside and quietly talk to them. A lot of times when you're in a public forum, whether it's social media forum or it's a church, you're in church, there's a lot of times that it can blow up and get ugly and then pride sets in. And, there's a lot more people that remember what happens. And if there is a situation where a person blows up, it's a lot more likely to be forgiven and forgotten if it's just between you and them, later on, versus 20 people seeing it or 30 people or 100 people if it's on social media. There's so many people, so many more on social media that can see something like that. So that would be my number one tip, is definitely trying to privately resolve things. Hey, Monica, and hi, Amber, Catherine. So I would definitely try to privately resolve things if possible. And one thing to remember when you're dealing with problems online is that things are harder to communicate online. Face-to-face is always better. Even calling people up is better than typing stuff out. You don't have facial expressions and facial cues that you can go off of when you are doing it online. So it's a lot harder to communicate online when a situation comes up. So just remember that. And in real life too, outside of social media, it's a lot harder to communicate over texting. A lot of times people can't hear your tone. You might say something like, yeah, right. But it might be like, yeah, right, just kind of joking, but they might take it as, yeah, right, whatever, there's just different tones that you can use with different words. And I've had people I think my texts have come across very stern sometimes when that wasn't even my intention. I was just being, open and honest. So emojis are great for that. That's why we have emojis, right? And kind of, yeah, Catherine just said it. I tend to overuse emojis because I'm trying to convey my tone. And so when I don't use my emojis, that's when people will take it the wrong way. And, those were created to help, send a better message when we are communicating. But if you have a choice between going out with someone for coffee versus texting them, I would definitely say go out with them for coffee. Hold your peace until then. If it's a situation that needs to be resolved, hold it until you can go out for coffee with them. Then try to fix it when you're face to face. And I have noticed that people are a lot more brave online. They would text things or type things that they never tell you to your face. When you're actually looking at a human being and you're seeing their face and you're looking into their eyes, it's a lot harder to be harsh with them. And it's a lot easier to show grace when you're one-on-one with someone. So this is only not worked for me with one person in my life. And this person turned out to be psycho. So I'm going to say it wasn't my problem. It was probably her problem. So she turned out, she hasn't gone here for a while, but she turned out to be pretty crazy. So it's only happened one time in my life where things were worse, one-on-one than through texting or phone call or whatever. So yeah, that was really bad. But face-to-face or private message to private message is always better. Personally texting someone than, let's say, a group chat. I have had to do that before, where I've had to just go one-on-one with person, and just say, hey, look, you need to calm down, whatever. So, definitely one-to-one is much better than a group setting when it comes to resolving conflict, for sure. So, and then when you're doing something public, sides are usually taken. So, and I've seen this a lot on social media with everything, no matter what, who your friends are, when it comes down to people taking sides, there's kind of like this lynch mob mentality that happens. And it's very political. People are they're looking at who liked everything and, who liked this comment and who liked this comment. Okay, so this person liked this comment, so they're on this person's side. And this person liked this person's comment, so they're on this person's side. Oftentimes when there's drama going on online, I won't even be liking comments. I'll just stay away because I know how political things can get and I don't want any part of it. So, I'll stay away from that conversation. I won't get involved because people do look at things like that. They look at the likes and the shares and, who liked the post and who made an angry face at the post and who made a heart face at the post. And, all those things are meant to convey those messages. So they definitely look for those. Kirsten said, yeah, psychos freak out in real life, where they might be embarrassed to show their craziness in a message that they know you can show other people. I never thought of that. That's probably why it was flipped with that situation. And it's funny because the freak out only happened one-on-one when there was no other people there. Whereas, yes, it was a lot more calm in the messages and things of that nature. So you have a good point, Kirsten, definitely. Jessica, I always prefer speaking face-to-face. I really believe that's the best way to solve things. I don't have a problem speaking face-to-face to people about confrontational things. I don't have a problem with confrontation. I was kind of raised that way. And it's funny because when I married my husband, he was raised opposite. His siblings and his mom especially hates confrontation. So that was really hard for me because I would just want to resolve a problem where he would just like to pretend the problem doesn't exist. And he's a little bit better now about it. But, I'm always like, come on, babe, this needs to be resolved. You need to deal with this, face it head on. Because that's just kind of how I was raised. I was raised to kind of face my problems head on, get them resolved, and then move on. And that's kind of how all me and my siblings are. We don't have a problem just telling it straight to each other, and then we just forget and we move on with life. So I just thought everyone did that. So I was surprised when I found out that a lot of people don't like doing things that way. So let me see. Okay, so yeah, remember that online, a lot of times a lynch mob mentality ensues. Then the next thing you know, there's people doing posts against certain people and everyone's jumping on board. And then it's just like this chain reaction. And, it's just one thing that I always remember, though, those who try to get you involved and take sides in drama will eventually have people riled up and turned on you. It's something I've noticed in churches. The people that are always the drama queens in churches, always gossiping about other people, they might like to keep you on their list just to kind of keep an eye on you. But the first time you cross them, all bets are off and they turn on you in an instant. I have seen that so many times in churches. So just remember that. Remember that the people who gossip to you are going to be the ones who gossip about you. I've always remembered that in my life. Remember that, if people, those that, if you enjoy being a part of a lynch mob, eventually you're going to be lynched. So all those that take part in attacking other people, tearing them down, everyone just decides we're going to go after this person and they all start going after this person. And that's happened before in churches too. Someone has a problem, another lady has a problem with another lady, and they start turning all the other ladies against them. Can you believe this person did this? Can you believe this person did this? Then they try to get all those other ladies to start attacking the poor lady that's on the outs. Just remember that if you are involved in that, eventually you will be the one being attacked and you will be the one being turned on. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this over and over and over again in my life from the time that I've been in church my whole life. So I grew up in church. I never wanted any part of that drama, even when I was a teenage girl. I tended to get along better with guys because they normally did not have that type of drama. So I felt like I could I just clicked with them better than I did with girls. Girls are very catty. You never knew you're standing with the girl. Did this girl really like me? Is she going to be talking about me next week? So I've never liked that type of mentality. And it's true because, oh, yeah, Matt said I saw that exact scenario happen today on Facebook. Facebook is a huge platform for this. Lots of people really, you can have that mob mentality a lot on Facebook. Let's say you have a certain group of friends. They see that one of their friends leave a comment on another post. They come to defend them or aid them. And suddenly, this whole group of friends is attacking this one person, or it happens all the time. Angeli says that's normally true, but I worked in an all-male environment and they were the cattiest gossipers ever. Men can be gossips. I'm telling you, they talk about the women being gossips all the time, but they can be gossips too. I've seen it quite often. So this applies to guys too. If you're watching and you're a guy, aggressively washing your hair. That's funny. So just one thing to remember about social media and even in real life, when it comes to social media, you don't have to comment on every single post. And I try to keep this rule. Now, I will say I have a hard time not commenting if I see a post aimed at my husband. And I'm not stupid. I know when I see passive aggressive posts that are aimed at him. And I have a hard time not commenting because I know the truth. And you know how it is as wives. You know the truth when it comes to your husband. You know his heart. You know his intentions. And so when you see him unjustly attacked, it is tough. I think this really applies a lot to pastors' wives too, whose maybe husband's preaching is out there and people are critiquing it or whatever, and maybe they find a flaw in it. There's going to be flaws, they mess up, preachers mess up, they misspeak, they're not perfect. And so when you see that, it's really hard to not say anything. But I have a couple times spoken up when I felt like I've seen very unjust comments. But for the most part, I've tried to scroll. And on Facebook, there's this awesome little thing called snoozing people. You can snooze people for 30 days. There's this awesome little feature called blocking people. There's this awesome little button called unfriending people. So if it gets to be too much, just do that. That's one of my biggest advice for people on social media. If it's taking over your life and it's consuming your life and you just find yourself thinking about it too much, just step away. And one of my friends, Karen, who is the moderator, she is actually off of Facebook completely. She decided to take this year off. And I think she's enjoyed it so much that she said she'll never go back. So good for her. And, just this past couple weeks with everything, going on in the world, I've really stepped away from Facebook quite a bit. I only have it on my Mac at home. So I have to actually go sit down and log into the computer and then pull it up. I don't have it on my phone anymore. So I'm not just kind of, mindlessly scrolling and seeing all this stuff. And my mental state is a lot better. I'm not seeing drama. I'm not seeing fights. I'm not seeing articles all day long about all the craziness going on in the world. And that's really, really helped my mental state quite a bit. So Karen said it's been her most productive year, and it's only June. Her most productive year. It's been the craziest year in the world for all of us, but it's been her most productive year. So I'm missing a lot of the chat. Okay, let me see. Yeah. If you have to leave Facebook groups, if it's causing drama, definitely. So, oh, yes, Matt, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. He said it hurt to see someone say they were invited to church by two nice ladies, and that after seeing the Facebook mob, they said they were definitely not coming. Doubtful she would have, but still disappointed. Yeah, I saw that happened with ladies in our church on a post that my husband did. So, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to read the chat really, really quickly. So, Angelia, like I said, I just have it on my computer. So I don't have it on my phone. My phone was my biggest distraction. And you know how it is. You're waiting, you're in the car, my husband's driving, I have nothing to do, so I'm just scrolling. I would just pick up the phone throughout the day and scroll. So now that it's on the computer, I have to actually go sit and pull it up, and then I can do it. So I have been posting somewhat, just a few, but I'm on there for just a few minutes at a time, not like, throughout the day on my phone. So anyways, let's get back into this. Okay. So try to involve the littlest amount. It doesn't make sense grammatically. Try to involve as few people as need be when dealing with conflict in your life. The more people that know and the more it grows, the more drama. And the more people you drag into it, the more opinions and the more sides that are taken, the more it is likely to go up in flames. So try to involve as few people as need be. Stay off the phone. I'm talking about don't be calling people up. A lot of people will do this thing where they'll call up friends and try to recruit people to their side. This happened. Can you believe this? Try to get them on the side, especially when it comes to something that happens in church. I've seen this a lot. It's like they want their story out there before it breaks. So they're calling up all the other ladies in church, this happened to me. This person did this. Can you believe this? Oh my goodness. And then they get the mob mentality once again, and they get everyone to turn on that one poor unsuspecting lady that didn't even know she offended the other person's feelings. And I am so blessed. I have not really had to deal with this in my church. We got rid of the psycho lady, and we've had a few questionables come through here, but they always just move on. My husband doesn't like drama. He doesn't like a lot of that junk. So he tries to keep it out of our church, and he tries to keep the spirit right. He wants liberty at Liberty Baptist Church. And part of liberty is having a good spirit, not having just a critical, attacking spirit. He doesn't want that in our church. So he's kind of tried to keep it out of there. So, but yeah, just remember that when it comes to personal conflict, try to involve as few people as need be. Stay off the phone. Obviously we all have close friends that we need to vent to sometimes. I'm not talking about that. There's been times I've had a horrible day or I'm having a conflict and I just need to tell my best friend about it, who is in Missouri and completely away from the situation. But there's no way I would go to like different ladies in my church and be complaining about another lady, or telling all the different ladies in my church, this person did this and it was so annoying and blah, blah, blah. I'm just not going to do that. We pretty much have a group text in our church where we all just kind of communicate with each other in that one group text. So I'm not going to like go off that group text and like be texting, Sarah, could you believe what Amy said? I can't believe this. That's just, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I don't want that going on in our church. Exactly, Dalen. She said, not everyone needs your opinion. And that's another thing. You don't have to comment on every post. If it's something you don't agree with, just keep scrolling. I personally like to use my Facebook wall to express my opinion. I don't need to be going on every contrary post to my opinion and putting my opinion. If someone comes onto my Facebook wall and they start arguing with me or just calling me stupid, attacking me for it, then I will try to explain my position to them on my own wall. But I don't need to be going around everyone else's wall, leaving comments, stirring up strife, things like that. So, stop stirring the pot. Stop causing unnecessary drama. I feel like some people just thrive off drama. They want drama in their life so badly. So they continually feed the flames and stoke the fire. They're always behind the scenes. They're never in front because they don't want really people to know that they're this way. So they're always behind the scenes. They're always sharing screenshots. They're always texting. They're always calling other people. They're always trying to recruit people to their side. For me, I'm too busy for that kind of nonsense. And the same thing with my husband. He barely ever talks on the phone. He barely ever texts people. Those from our church, they know if they ever try to text him, it's like one text answers, like one word answers and reply. So he is not the type that is on the phone constantly gabbing, going on about drama, calling other preachers, saying, "Could you hear about this? Can you believe this?" He very much focuses on our life here in Rock Falls. And that is his ministry. That is his life. He's not involved. He's not interested in being involved with every other person's life or what's going on in their church. He's not interested in pastoring other people. He's interested in the people of Liberty Baptist Church. I'm interested in the ladies of Liberty Baptist Church. They are my first priority. Obviously, I love all of you, and that's why I have the second ministry of Gently Led Sisters. But, the second ministry of Gently Led Sisters is a bonus. So if it ever came to the point where I felt like it was causing me undue stress or just anxiety, I would have to put it on the back burner for a while and focus on my main ministry, which is my family and my church ladies. That would be my main focus. So if it ever came down to that, I would definitely, put it to the side, but it hasn't. It's more of a blessing to me. All of you are a blessing to me. We have our little chats every Monday night, and it really helps me. It encourages me. So I feel like it's more of a blessing than a burden at this point in my life. So yeah, the people who love drama are the ones who always post on Facebook that they don't do drama. It's like, well, I beg to differ. I've seen quite a lot of drama going through your life or your Facebook feed. Hello, Ashley. But I have some verses here. I looked up, and obviously in Proverbs, there's a lot of verses about just not stirring the pot, not keeping the flames going. Proverbs 26:20 says, "Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth." That's a hard word to say. The strife ceaseth. So that's a good one because it's so true. In order for there to be strife, there needs to be a talebearer. There needs to be someone running around saying, "Did you see this? Did you hear this? Watch this and listen to this. And did you hear what this person said? Did you see the screenshot?" Whatever. Proverbs 26:17, "He that passeth by and meddleth with strife belonging not to him is like one that taketh a dog by the ears." In other words, you're going to get bit. You're going to get bit if you're messing around with that. Proverbs 11:13, "A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter." This is a very important verse to me. I want to be faithful in my life. I want to be a faithful Christian. I want to be a faithful mom. I want to be a faithful wife. I want to be a faithful friend. Loyalty and faithfulness means so much to me. Loyalty is the number one thing I look for in a friendship, and a true friend that sticks by you through tough times, through times where your opinions don't match, when you don't see eye to eye, and you have that true friend that just still loves you no matter what. When you have that true friend that will tell you the truth, knowing it goes against what you believe, knowing that she has a different opinion than you. Those are the friends I look for in life. And I want to have a faithful spirit. So I'm not the type that's going to have a private conversation with someone and then be sending screenshots, maybe to their enemy. "Did you see this? Can you believe this? Oh, I can't believe this." Nothing is private anymore. And I think that's a shame, especially in the Facebook world we live in. Nothing is private anymore. And I am big on keeping private things private. If you come to me and you tell me, I get emails all the time from women. The last thing I would ever do is go share those emails or make fun or laugh at someone's problems. I feel very honored when people choose to write me and ask for my advice. And the last thing I'm going to do is go around sharing that with other people. If you email me privately about something, it's going to stay private. So exactly, Kirsten. She said, "My husband was saying it's crazy. People make entire YouTube channels where 90% of their views are new IFB people watching them to get outraged." And that's the thing too. If there's a channel out there, there are channels out there devoted to attacking me, attacking my husband. I'm just not going to watch it. I'm not going to give them the time of the day. There's people that hate me. I don't care. They don't know me in real life. They are not my friend. They have never even had a real conversation with me in real life, face to face. And so they have no merit in my life. And I'm not going to go watch them and get all riled up because of that. So Proverbs 18:8, the words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Whoever said that words don't hurt, that's a lie. Words do hurt. Words have the power to hurt. And that's why I always try to think that when I am dealing with conflict in my life, I always try to remember that people will remember your words and they will remember how you talk to them. And then Proverbs 20:19, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. Flattery is a big warning sign, and you need to be very careful of people that flatter. Almost everyone I've known that was a flatterer has turned out to be the number one backstabber. So anytime my husband and I see a flatterer, we get very, very wary. And it was funny because we kind of learned this lesson early on in our ministry. I'm trying to specifically remember the story. He had someone come to him once and just tell him, I'm so grateful for you. You're such a, at that time he was the assistant pastor. He was pretty much doing everything his dad wasn't. So he was song leader. He was the principal at the school. He was the youth leader. He was a soul winning coordinator. He was a bus captain. He was doing all this stuff that his dad didn't do. So we had a guy in the church that came up and told him, just going on and on and on about him. I'm not kidding. Within a couple days, this guy had turned on him. And it really hurt my husband, because when the guy was telling him how much you mean to us and how much you mean to our family and how much we support you and we love you. And then a couple days later, they're leaving the church. And it's all my husband's fault for something I can't even remember what it was about. That was hurtful. And, we were young, probably early 20s. So we're still maturing and growing and things like that, and learning how to deal with conflict in our life. And he learned then that usually those with the best things to say about you are the first to turn on you. And I've seen it in my own personal life. People who were your friends one day, you do something that they don't agree with and they completely cross you. And suddenly, though, it's always good for me, though, in a way, because then I know who my loyal friends are and I know who my loyal friends aren't. So, but I have a lot of notes. I don't even know if I'm going to get through all these. That's my second page. I'm done with my first page. But there's a lot that the Bible has to say about being a talebearer. So I would just recommend, don't be the one involved in the drama. Don't be the one spreading the stories. Don't be the one sharing the screenshots. Don't be the one making the phone calls about other ladies in your church. It's a horrible spirit. You don't want to be known as that. I don't know if it's a sign of insecurity when women do that. Maybe they're afraid to be the ones being talked about. I think that's part of it. I think ladies they want to be accepted and they want to be loved. And so when they find other people to attack, they're not the ones being attacked, so they feel safe. But you have to realize eventually you will be. If you create that type of spirit in your church, if you create that type of spirit with your friends online, you will be the one that will be turned on eventually. So just remember that. Dalen said, drama doesn't just walk into your life. Either you created it, invited it, or associate with it. And for me, when I have seen drama, I would just prefer to walk away from it. I don't want to be in the middle of fighting. I don't want to be involved in any of that. I hate it. It gives me a stomach ache. And so I would just rather walk away from it. And that was my next point. Walk away if you need to. I've talked often on here about cutting out toxic people out of your life, getting rid of the toxicity, getting rid of the toxic people in your life. So I'm a firm believer in that. No one's entitled, especially if they're attacking you, they're not entitled to stay in your life or be one of your close friends. Just walk away. Walk away if you have to. Angeli said, sometimes people are just angry and bitter most of the time in their daily lives. And maybe that comes out, And so I do try to remember that. Okay, maybe it's not a personal attack on me. Maybe they're having a bad day. I had a lady almost pin me to the wall one time and scream in my face, another Christian lady. She was going through a lot in her life. After she did that, after she left, I held it together and then I cried. That was one of the one times I've cried in my ministry after being screamed at. I cried, but this was a long time ago. And once again, I was in my 20s. So I was just learning how to deal with all this. But she was going through a lot. I think her husband was sick at the time. She was having some problems with her kids. It was stressful. She was planning a wedding, all this for one of her kids. All this stuff was going on. And so, she apologized for it. And we just moved on, and we remained friends in the church, and everything was fine. But people are just going to have horrible days. And, she said that. She said, it's not against you. I just had a horrible day and I just erupted, and you were there when I erupted. They were at the church for some wedding stuff or something. So it's, oh no, they're about to start. I don't want this restarted. Just a minute. I don't want this to restart. Okay, if I suddenly cut out, it's because my computer has restarted, which it's saying it wants to restart, and I don't want it to restart right now. No, I don't. Let me see. Let me schedule the restart. Oh, yeah, it was going to. Okay, let's do 8:50. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay. There. I think I just did it. Okay. Sorry about that. It was going to restart on me, though. Yes, there's an update. It said, okay, it was going to restart at 7:50. So 15 minutes from now. I think I got it. Okay, but if I get kicked off at 7:50, that's why. It's restarting. So like I said before, you have those features on Facebook where you can snooze people, you can block people. Talking about the psycho person in my life in the past, I actually blocked her phone number. I didn't want her texting or calling me anymore. Actually, she had texted me some really, really nasty stuff, or called and said some really nasty stuff. I can't remember. And my husband told me, block her. She's not calling. She's not talking to you again. So I did. And I've never heard from her since. It's been a couple of years now. So you're not entitled to have those people in your life. Realize your main ministry is that of your family and your local church. This is how I deal with people coming to me about something that I've done to offend them. And that's going to happen. We're humans, we're around people all the time. Because I'm around multiple people for a long time during the week, I'm going to do something that will offend people. I mean, think of your own marriage. You and your husband do things all the time that offend each other. So if someone comes to me, they reach out to me privately about something I've done to offend them, I always stop for a minute before I even respond. I stop and I think. Okay, so I think to myself, is there any truth to this? And sometimes there is. Maybe I overstepped. I crossed a line. I said something I should not have. And for my good friends, that has happened before. They have reached out to me and said, you hurt me in this area. And maybe I didn't even intend to, but I did. And so I stop and I think, is there any truth to this? And can I better myself in this? And then if I need to, I apologize. It's a humbling thing to apologize, but it's also a cleansing thing. It's very good for you to have to humble yourself and apologize and admit that you had fault in something. And then I also think, okay, so this person is coming to me about something, but is this something that is a hard line for me? Is this a black and white area, or am I being unreasonable? Is this something that maybe I shouldn't be so dogmatic about? Whether it comes to just the way I'm handling something, maybe it comes to a standard in my life that I have. Do they have a point to what they're telling me? So I always stop and think of these things if, people are coming to me about something that I have offended them. And then, I try to speak the truth in love. So if I have determined, okay, I'm sorry, this is a hard line for me and I'm not going to budge. This is what I truly believe in my heart and in my soul, then I will tell them that kindly. I don't need to be nasty about it. But more times than not, my friend has a point and I apologize because there's some truth to it. So I always try to look at it that way. I always try to see, is there some truth? And I don't just instantly brush it off. Well, they're just being sensitive, or, they're just dramatic or something. I don't brush it off. I try to really think about it and really, really take into account what they're saying. And then Amanda said, I've been hurt by more Christians than I have anyone else. I've had people send messages or call asking for help to encourage me, only for them to stab me in the back within days. I know people are always going to let you down. It's just an inevitable thing. I mean, look at Jesus with the ones that he was closest to. He was stabbed in the back by them. Peter denied him. They obviously made up for it later, but there was that moment where he slipped and he denied Jesus Christ. So I can't imagine the feeling that came over him in that moment when he realized that Jesus was right and he had actually denied his Savior. So what a horrible feeling. What a horrible feeling. And I always try to remember that when I'm thinking of my own friends. What a horrible feeling it would be for them to know that I was unloyal to them and I was talking bad about them. So I really try to keep that in mind. So, okay. So when these are my guidelines, so that's what to do if people come to me if I have offended them. My guidelines for handling maybe people with different opinions or something. Number one, I don't call names. Some people are different than me. That's fine. I'm not accountable for them. I'm only accountable for me. I don't call names. I believe that, especially when writing, my grammar is advanced enough that I can come up with what I need to come up with to convey my thoughts without saying names, calling them names. I try to be direct, but I also try to be gracious. I realize others have different opinions than me, and that's fine. And sometimes we agree to disagree. My best friends at the moment, we had very differing opinions on this whole lockdown. We have very differing opinions on different topics like that. But at the end of the day, we just had to agree to disagree. We realize we don't see this eye to eye, and I'm not going to lose a friendship over this. So determine what it is that you'll lose friendships over. For me, there's a bird. Do you hear the bird? There's a bird chirping right outside the window. For me, it's going to take a lot for me to write off a friendship. I probably, it would be like blatant, maybe just a very big sin that the person is choosing to engage in that I just feel like I can't condone. And so if we continue the friendship and I don't say anything, or maybe I do, bring up the sin and they continue to be involved in it, for me, that's a deal breaker when it comes to a lot of things. And then if one of my friends is directly involved in attacking my husband, I draw the line there. My husband is my first priority, and I love him and honor him, and he gets my respect. And if one of my friends says that they're my friends, but yet they're attacking the person I love the most, that is a deal breaker for me as well. Or if they're close to people that are attacking my husband, that's a deal breaker for me. I can't do that. But when it comes to just little things, I realize we all have different opinions. That's fine. We're all different. We all have different ways of looking at things. So you did hear the bird. That's hilarious. It's very loud. Jessica, my best friend and I have known each other since we were 12. So yeah, we've been best friends for a long time. So, and that's exactly right, Shara. She said the best friends are ones you can differ with, yet agree to disagree. I have a friend who's very different in many aspects, but we've stayed in contact since we were 15. And that's the thing. When people agree with me all the time, I get a little suspicious. Like, why are you agreeing with me? No two people think. My husband and I are on completely opposite spectrums sometimes. No two people completely think the same way. So why are you agreeing with me so much? So I actually feel a little bit better when my friend and I have two very close friends at the moment, when we can have very differing opinions. We can kind of go back and forth, but no, at the end of the day, we still love each other. That's very important to me. And I feel like that shows a healthy relationship because my husband and I do it as well. We go back and forth. We have disagreements a lot. And he is very good at me being able to express my disagreement with him in an area and not taking it personally. And we can go back and forth about it, not in a mean way. but we can kind of banter back and forth about it, even if we disagree with something. And at the end of the day, I defer to what he wants because he is my husband, and I respect him that way. But he is confident and secure enough in who he is to be able to have a wife who has strong opinions about some things and who's able to express that to him. So I'm lucky that way. Don't get stuck and stubborn. If it is some area that you need to change in, try to change it. Adopt the practice of waiting a while to speak. I feel like so many of us, because we just have that option of leaving comment or texting or calling right away in the heat of the moment, we get too caught away with it and we do it. So for me, I've tried to, if I'm very upset about something, wait a while. I've actually written things out before, deleted it. I did that a couple of weeks ago. I wrote out a huge long text to someone, and then I deleted it. I had to go back and, hold the back button 5 minutes until it deleted the whole thing. And I'm glad now, because looking back, it would not have been wise to send the huge text in the way I did it. So I'm glad I deleted it. And usually you'll feel better days later after you delete it, knowing you did the right thing. So, yep, exactly, Karen. She said, iron sharpeneth iron. You need a little friction to make things stronger. And it's good for a relationship when you can disagree and yet still care for each other. I firmly believe in that. So Aaron said traditional is better than boneless for agreeing to disagree. He thinks traditional wings are the best. I agree. I don't like boneless either. So it's very good to think before you speak. And you can never take words back, especially written in a text, written in a Facebook post. There's this thing called screenshots that live forever and will be filed back in someone's brain and someone's phone for years. So just remember that anything you write on the internet never goes away. It's always there. Anything that someone receives in a text never goes away. It's always there. I still have my one of my best friends that died, Kelly. I still have all the texts from her. And if they ever got deleted, I would just be devastated. And sometimes I go back if I want to cry or something, which is never, but once a year maybe. I go back and I read all of her texts. And it's just, I've looked up emails before. I deleted some. We used to write back and forth on email. And I deleted a lot of them. And I wish there was some way to recover them. That's how we became close, was through email, writing through emails. But I've deleted all of them, I think. So sometimes that's good that you can have memories that are saved forever, but sometimes it's not, because it will live forever. Remember, words do hurt. We already talked about this. Pray for those you're having conflict with. I've made this a practice. Where I have been praying for the ones that have the hate channels against me and my husband. I've been praying for those who wish to see our church crash and burn. I've been praying for those who maybe say mean things, nasty things online. I've been praying for those who have hurt me in my own personal life, in real life. I've been praying for those. It's been hard for me because I'm the type that wants justice, but I know at the end of the day, God's looking out for me. And I don't want to become bitter. I don't ever want to have a bitter attitude towards hurts in my life, because we all have hurts. And I've seen bitter women, and it's not pretty. And I don't want that displayed on my face. I want a joyful countenance. I want a sweet spirit. I want to be able to forgive, and I want to be able to forget and move on. So I've made it a practice, especially lately, during this lockdown, when there's frustrations and tensions are rising, trying not to take everything personally. And I really try to think of anyone that's hurt me. And some of them I forgot. You don't need to remember for the rest of your life who's hurt you. So I try to think that, I try to take that into account and pray for them. The Bible does tell us to pray for those that despitefully use you. Pray for your enemies. And I'm trying to put that into practice. So yeah, I do too, Sarah. I have a hard time deleting text threads. I have so many text threads on my phone, but I don't know. They're special to me. Words are special to I'm big with words. You guys know that. I love to write. I love to convey my feelings through words. And I have this channel. I'm not always the best at speaking. I'm better at writing them, but I try to speak from the heart and try to convey it with words. So Dalen said, if any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. That is a good verse to remember. That is a good verse. So if you seem like you've got it all together, you seem like you're pretty religious, but you can't hold your tongue, you're deceiving your own heart. I need to remember that. Good job. And that's why sometimes it's better just to walk away. If you're going to ruin your testimony, if you're going to say things that you wish you wouldn't, just walk away. So, okay, so let's really quickly, I'm pretty much like almost out of time, but I wanted to talk a little bit at the end about mommy shaming, because I do see some of this going on. In fact, last week during in the comment section of last week, someone was really going after Mrs. Shelley quite a bit for potty training at 3, which I thought was silly. Lots of women potty train at 3, calling her lazy, saying all these other things. So I wanted to kind of put this in with the whole conflict thing, because mommy shaming can be kind of a conflict thing for sure. So, I am not for mommy shaming at all, because I've realized that it's a superior attitude in people that makes you want to put down others. Whether this comes to Christianity, I'm a better Christian. I know more than you. How do you not know this yet? For me, the only reason I am where I am is because everything in my life I have been taught. I have been given so much. And so I'm going to give grace to other people because of that. Other people are not at the same spiritual walk as me. Other moms are not at the same mommy journey as I am. So I'm going to show grace when it comes to being a Christian, being a mom. I'm sorry, but a 20-year-old with a 1-year-old does not have all the answers. If you're 20 and you have a 1-year-old, that was just something I threw out because I was 20. I was 20 with a 1-year-old. I had my first when I was 20. And I don't care how many books you've read. Experience is the best teacher. So you can read all the books in the world. You can read Dr. Spock and Oprah. I don't even know if she has a book, which would be stupid because she hasn't had kids. But you can read all the books in the world, and experience is still the best teacher. So, listen to those who are older and wiser. Hold your tongue if you're a newbie. Your words might come back to haunt you later. They did with me. Tommy was maybe 6 or 7 at the time. And one of my friends came in the church and said, someone just shot out a window, and the kid said it was someone with a bow and arrow. And I said, my kid would never do that. Guess whose kid it was? My kid. My kid, Tommy, took aim with his practice bow and arrow, but it was just enough to shoot out the window. So I ate those words, and I've never said that again. I learned that day, never say, my kid would never do that, because your kid's going to prove you wrong. And he had to work around the house and raise the money to pay for the window. And it was like $100 or something. It was quite a bit of money. It was like one of those huge long windows in a church. So he had shot it out. So just remember, it's a superior attitude. Listen to those who are older and wiser. Hold your tongue. If you're a newbie, don't act superior and like you have all the answers. We all flounder at times. If someone comes on and they're having a bad day, don't be just quoting scripture like, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. Like, you're not doing a good enough job. You're not training him enough. Don't be that way. Just remember that raising babies is different than raising toddlers. Raising 10-year-olds is different than raising toddlers. Raising teens is different than raising middle schoolers. Every age is different. And I have 4 teens now, and then I have 4 youngers. So it's kind of like a paradigm. It's like 2 ends of the spectrum. I've got baby to 10-year-old, and then I have 13 to 18-year-old. So it's like raising 2 separate sets of kids. And you have to approach your teens differently than you approach your baby. You can't talk to your teens like they're a baby. You have to talk, the teens, you're dealing more with emotional stuff. The babies and younger kids, you're dealing more with training, disciplining, taking care of, keeping them alive, things like that. So your older kids are completely different than your younger kids. So you're going to have to adapt to every situation during the day. Okay, so that's kind of what I had to say about Mommy shaming. Kirsten said, I feel like every mom who tries their best ends up equal, but we all have certain areas we value more and really shine in, and other things our family doesn't prioritize. Exactly. And every family is different. One thing that might be a priority for my family is no big deal to you. One thing that might be a big deal to your family is no big deal to me. So, just remember that. Just remember we all have different priorities. One thing that's a huge deal in our household is church attendance. You pretty much have to be dying to stay home. And if our kids are sick, they stay home, obviously, especially right now. But it's just, my kids have always known when my boys got jobs, they knew to put on their application they could not work Wednesday nights or Sundays. That's just a given. That is super top priority in our household. That's a black and white area. That's not going to be, something that is going to be budged on. One thing that has not been a huge deal in our house is like video games. My kids do play video games. My kids do have tablets that they play games on. They do watch YouTube. We don't have regular TV, but they do watch. We do allow screen time. So screen time is one issue that we have not made a huge deal out of. Maybe in your household, screen time is like, no, like that's a black and white area. I want nothing to do with it, whatever. But that just shows how each family is different. You don't need to look down on other people that are a little different from you in that area. That's not their standard. That's yours. Your standard doesn't need to be everyone else's standard in their life. So that's my rule of thumb when it comes to that. But edification, let's just quickly go over this. My rule of thumb is try to encourage more than tear down. People are facing so much in the world we live in, especially now. They're being bombarded from every side with horrible news. The world's just going up in smoke, literally. And they have family members that don't agree with stands they've taken in their life. The last thing they do is need to come to church and be torn down, to be talked about, to be gossiped about. The last thing they need online is to be attacked and called names and, picked apart, especially by other Christians. And I don't understand for the life of me why Christians feel the need to go around tearing down other Christians. It's not a good attitude. It's not a right spirit. There were obviously times in the Bible where the disciples withstood each other to the face when they had difficulties, but then that was it. They withstood each other to the face, they resolved the conflict, and they moved on. They weren't like recruiting the other disciples. And did you hear what Peter did? Can you believe this? Paul wasn't recruiting people to his side. And I believe Paul was chiding the people for saying, I am of Apollos, and I am of Apollos, and I am of Paul. He said, no, we don't want that attitude. We're all in unity. We're supposed to be in unity here. It's not I am of Apollos or I am of Paul. We should all be saying I am of Christ. And if you are of Christ, we should not have this attitude of just constantly biting and devouring each other and picking apart and tearing down. I want nothing to do with that mentality. I want nothing to do with that mindset. So that's just me personally. 9 a.m. in Australia. Wow. Hello, Salome. And we're just winding up our live stream. We're on the last few minutes. So just remember there's a time for correction and there's a time for edifying. Be socially aware enough that you can tell if someone's going through a hard time. If they're going through a hard time, you need to just lay off a little bit. If they're overstepping lines, maybe they're attacking you or whatever, then I would definitely say correct them. But try to remember that there is a time for everything. Be socially aware and recognize those times, be attuned to what other people's feelings are. Don't just like lambast everyone. Just don't bulldoze everyone just because you're in a bad mood and they ticked you off. There's no justification for that. Be aware of different things people might be going through in their life. So, what is your testimony? Are you known for someone that gossips, who has to be in the middle of all the drama, who's a pot stirrer, one that's in the thick of everything that's going on, one who has all the knowledge, one who knows exactly who's fighting with who and who's on the outs today and who's not on the outs today? Are you in the middle of all the drama? Are you known to be gracious? Are you known to be kind to those that disagree with you? Are you known to have a meek and quiet spirit? And, meek, there's a difference between being bold and being meek. Some people equate meekness with never voicing your opinion, never speaking up, never going against the grain. I would beg to differ. You can be meek, accepting correction when you need to, realizing that sometimes you are at fault, realizing that you have problems as well, but you can also be bold in your stand and you can speak up when you need to speak up. Moses was considered a meek man, yet he withstood Pharaoh to the face and stood against him. So I think that's pretty powerful that he still took a bold stand, but yet he was considered meek. So there's too little edifying going on, and there's too much nitpicking and tearing others down. And I think especially now, which is why I just kind of had to take a step back from a lot of the stuff, because I feel like tensions are really rising right now. And, I don't think it's any coincidence that all of this horrible behavior right now is taking place when churches have been shut down for 2 or 3 months. People have not been in churches. They have not been being fed. Maybe they've been watching online services. But even that, they did a poll and they found out for all the people that weren't in church, not even 50% were watching the live stream of their church. That's crazy. So all these people are out, hundreds and thousands of people are out of church for months on end. And then suddenly this situation happens and the lockdowns happen and everyone's losing their mind. So just during this, if there's too much nitpicking, too much drama, just step away from it and just come back when it's better. Hopefully 2020 will get better. I hope so. Anyways, me personally, I want to be known as someone who's overly gracious rather than someone who's finding fault. I firmly believe in going to a person one-on-one if you're having conflict and trying to resolve that. I would rather be a peacemaker than a dirt finder. I would rather try to smooth everything over so everyone gets along rather than trying to expose someone or dig up dirt on someone and, just declaring them to be a horrible person. I'd rather be a peacemaker when it comes to situations. So my policy is definitely, if I can, to go to a person directly involved in conflict one-on-one and talk to them about it. If I can't resolve it, I can't resolve it. The Bible talks about a wise man. I don't know the verse exactly, but a wise man hearing rebuke. And if you rebuke a wise man, you have gained a brother or something like that. I wish I would have written it down. But if someone truly is wise and they truly are spiritual and you do rebuke them, then you will have gained someone, a friend. And the same goes for you. If you are truly wise and someone comes to you with a problem and rebukes you and you react the same way, or you react the right way, you react the right way, then they have gained a friend in you as well. So try to remember that when you're dealing with different situations. So, Crystal, it's okay to be very bold. I'm very bold. But I've also learned through the years, I don't need to be I do not need to be involved in every little bit of drama that's going on. I don't need to jump on the bandwagon and start attacking someone just because everyone else is. I don't need to, in my church, if anyone comes to me with a problem about someone else, I ask them the first thing when they get started. You can ask people about this. Have you gone to this person and talked to them about this? Because honestly, I don't want to be a police in our church. I don't want to be policing people's relationships. My husband has never micromanaged any of our church members. He couldn't care less what they do, with their lives and who their friends are. And he's not a micromanager at all. He does not believe in that. And I'm the same way when it comes to friendships in the church. If someone comes to me with a problem with someone else, I'm going to ask them, have you gone to this person with this? Because I firmly believe in going one-to-one with conflict, going directly to that person involved and working it out. I don't want to go around talking bad about someone else, spreading gossip, stirring the pot. That's just not, I don't like it. I don't like that spirit. So that's the first thing I'm going to ask someone. So there's nothing wrong with being bold. There is something wrong with getting involved in every little bit of drama that comes along though. You don't want to be the one that's known as feeding the drama, being part of the drama, keeping the drama going, all that stuff. So, but Yeah, exactly, Jessica. She said that's the first thing I ask. Usually the answer is no. And one of the reasons they're coming to you is they want to get you on their side. People try to recruit. When they're in drama, they want to have a pack of people. They want to have people on their side. You know, I'm confident enough that I can stand on my own. If I truly believe something, I can stand by myself if I have to. I don't care. I'll face the whole world if I have a belief. When it comes to something, I'll face the whole world all by myself if I have to. That's how strongly I believe about it. So, you know, I don't need to go around recruiting things. So definitely. But anyways, that's all I made it through all of them. I was like going really fast. So I had a lot of things written down. I do this to keep my mind in order. Otherwise I would be just all over the place when I'm talking about everything. So hopefully that helped. I'm just speaking from the heart. I'm speaking from experience. Like I said, I have dealt with people a lot. There are ways to diffuse a situation, and there are ways to inflame a situation. And especially in the world of social media, the situation tends to be blown up a lot. And even if you try putting water on the fire and you try calming everyone down, sometimes it's just too far out. It's too far gone. It's too far out of control. And I hate seeing stuff like that. I hate seeing friendships destroyed. I hate seeing people slandered in the church, in my personal life, in the online world. And one thing you got to remember with people is these are real people with real hearts and real emotions and real feelings. It's not just a profile picture. It's people that really breathe and walk and talk and have friends and relationships and kids and families. And I always try to keep that in mind too when talking with people online. So hopefully, I know, Amanda, that is hurtful. And, you know, one final word, when it comes to being hurt by people, I try to look at the good. It does hurt when you find people have turned on you and the nasty things they're saying. But it was revealed. It was revealed. God revealed it. No one wants to be close to someone who's not truly their friend, you know. And I have found that people will turn on you in a heartbeat. And I'm not in this because of people. As much as I want to help people, I'm not in this to get praise from people and adoration from people. I'm in this to bring glory to God. I'm in this to be a help to people if I can be. But number one, I'm in this to serve the Lord. I'm in this because I want to see people saved and I want to see lives changed and I want to see people helped. I want to see people victorious. That's why I'm in this. I'm not in this to have loads of friends and to have everyone love me. And, you know, I don't need that. I rest in the fact that the Lord loves me, that my husband loves me, that my kids love me, and I have a couple of very close friends that love me. And that's all I need. So try not to let it get you down. Try not to blame it. It's not God's fault. We're all humans. We're all sinners. I'm going to let my friends down at times. I know I have. I've let my friends down. They're going to let me down. It's not God's fault. I'm not in this for, you know, friendship's sake. I'm in this to serve the Lord. So try to keep that in mind, that you're in this to serve the Lord. That's first and foremost. Men are going to fail you. Friends are going to fail you, but the Lord will never fail you. So yes, Sheila, I agree. Lots and lots of high emotions. So sometimes you just need to pause and take a step back and say, I'm walking away from this fight. I don't want to ruin my testimony. You know, I'm walking away. I can't deal with this right now. So there's no shame in that. So I hope this was encouraging. I feel like I fall short when it comes to trying to get my heart across. And I'm sure someone will pick it apart and analyze it and see things that aren't there. But I truly am speaking from the heart. I pray for all of you. I pray for anyone that is in conflict. I pray for all my enemies out there. Even if you're watching this and you hate me, just know I'm praying for you. If you're not saved, I'm praying someday you'll get saved. I don't want to see anyone go to hell. And I'm praying that God will change your heart, and that you'll see that I'm truly not in this for self-gratification. I'm in this to serve the Lord. So anyways, okay, guys, thanks for joining, and we will see you next week. Look for the show in 2 weeks. Karen, I should have you on that week to talk about your Arizona. You barely had it hard in Arizona at all. Maybe you could talk about the riots going on, though. Now, see, I live in rural country, so I'm not experiencing the riots yet. Karen's right in the middle of Phoenix, so she's seeing some riots going on now. So maybe I can have you on, too, to talk about just that, because this is all part of the whole Corona thing. I think it's been a plan from the beginning to get all this going. So, yep, I'm going to try to have a few different ladies on. I already got 2 lined up, and I'm going to try to get more. So anyways, look forward to that. I'll announce next Monday's live stream at the end of this week. So we will see you guys next week. Bye.